Don't touch anything.
Okay.
You're cooking, she's cooking.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Just done with it.
He was doing it and then just put it in.
Yeah.
Go ahead and cut right there.
Say a quiet term.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, the mic came on.
You should ask them if they can hear you. Can the people online hear us in the room? Okay, that's.
Yes, I can see you.
You can hear now, but you can't see?
I cannot see, no, and I can't chat on the text chat. It won't work.
Okay, we're having a few technical difficulties where we know the camera is not working just yet. We're trying. Bear with us.
Okay. No problem. Thank you.
That's what you do.
Did you ask if this was Audra?
Yeah.
Yes, this is Audra.
Revive. And get us to turn on video. I wonder.
Control shift.
Yeah. The settings.
Got a blue light on it. Do you mind me giving it a try, see if you can power it off?
Sure.
The camera.
Yeah. Where's the power button? You know?
I'm a guest too, so I'm not sure.
Okay. And, I don't know if I feel it's anything. I hesitate to unplug anything either. I can see that it's on.
Okay.
Yeah.
They can hear us.
Oh. That's a tippy top is right now.
I can't read.
Right there, right there. With that big X. And then also put the watch off on here. Now it's done.
There's a little video icon that came up on the search bar. I kind of wonder if there's a permission thing with the edge. So if you click on the camera, you see how it changed the icon up there? Try that one. Continue allowing, say done. So she can do, I wonder. Now try. So that's weird.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a number and I called it. The normal one. You click the camera button. This is the first one. It says,
Well, today I'm at the city of Jarvis. We're having trouble with the monitor. It will not allow us to turn on the camera. The camera appears to set to camera one. We have tried changing things like the backgrounds and the other settings. It's still not working. We have all the other. Correct, there's no video broadcasting the screen. Well, now there is. But hang on. Okay, so there's one session.
It worked for like 5 seconds.
Yeah. This is the one for recording. Okay, so the desktop app is recognizing the internet for whatever reason.
It's working now.
It is now.
It's working now. Or yeah, it's working. Yeah.
Here, let the record reflect that I am the one that.
Yes, so that we can see what other people are doing.
How's it, folks? Can we start now? All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is Thursday, April the 3rd, 2027. It is now 7:13 p.m. And we are now going to start the Jarvis City Council meeting. We'll start with call to order, which I just did. We're going to go to pledge of allegiance next. Please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is roll call. We will actually start on the left, which I believe Councilor Rodriguez, are you present?
Yes, here.
Councilor Petra Wright,
Here.
Council President Diana Barch,
Here.
Councilor Jesse Geddes.
Here.
And Councilwoman Abby Fernandez,
Here.
all present and accounted for. First item of business on the agenda is the presentation to the Jervis Police Department. Is the Liberty House here tonight? Come forward.
Since there's two of us, is it okay if we stand?
Please do.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Wagner and members of the council. For the record, Percy Anderson, I'm Deputy CEO of Liberty House. With me is Cameron Wolford, who's our Assistant Deputy CEO, as well as the coordinator for our multidisciplinary team. Thank you so much for allowing us some time on your agenda tonight. It's really an honor to be here with you all, especially since April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. So first, I just want to say we at Liberty House just so appreciate the city of Jervis and the police department for being just such great partners with Liberty House on our MDT. Liberty House, just a couple of things. Liberty House is the Children's Advocacy Center for serving Marion and Polk counties. And as the CAC for this region, we provide specialized pediatric and therapy services for children referred for concerns of physical abuse, sexual abuse, neglect, witness to domestic violence, trafficking, and other types of trauma. Liberty House is one of 24 CACs here in Oregon and one of over 960 across the United States. In 2024, we served over 1,000 children between our clinic and our therapy programs and provided prevention and education for another 1,500 persons. Also in 2024, we opened a new clinic in Woodburn to bring our services closer to the residents of North Marion County. Children who need our services have been through very difficult experiences, obviously, which is why there are rigorous standards of accreditation to meet. And our collective hard work came to fruition this last year as we attained accreditation through our national association, the National Children's Alliance. So your agency, though, played an important role in that happening because of the high quality work you do and your role on the Marion County MVP. We know now that we're among the top 5% of CACs and MDTs in the country. So I'm going to turn this over to my partner, Cameron here.
I just really want to present this Officer Control, the Jervis PD, and Liberty House. So thank you so much for your collaboration, keeping it served and holding offenders accountable. Thank you. Children and families here in North Marion County. We did open that campus in Woodburn recently. And on a personal note, I'm really glad to be back. I graduated from Jervis High School in 2011 as valedictorian. So we do really care about this community. So thank you for your work and helping us keep safe. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Next item on the agenda is going to be the consent calendar. We have three for approval. A is the approval of minutes. The city council meeting of February 6th, 2025. Do we have any questions on that one?
I have a couple of little typo issues. So on the, make sure I'm looking at these right. On the, I'm looking at the March 6th one. You're talking, where am I? Oh, I'm so confused, sorry. I'm backwards. No, February 6th, I'm good. I don't know what I'm looking at.
Okay, if there's order for that
We
one.
can address all three at the same time, so.
So
That's for typos.
The next one's February 27th, 2025, and the last one is March 6th, 2025. Questions on those?
So it's the March 6th one that I had a couple issues with. So it's gonna sound really funny. I hate to be this like sticky person, but last month on March 6th, I corrected my name being mistyped in here, and now it says that it was Petra who that asked for her name to be fixed. So I again would like to claim that it was my name that's supposed to be there, not Petra's. it's under the, 5 consent calendar section of March 6th. And then the other piece is that under number 7, public comment on non-agenda items, it says that Mayor Wagner read a statement from Leslie Munoz, but she was actually here. And so I don't know that a statement was read as well, but I know that she was here in person.
She did make a statement. She just introduced herself and made herself available to the city.
That's what I remembered, but it doesn't say in here that she was here, so I just wanted to make sure that we had that correct information.
We can make those 2 changes.
Thank you.
Any other comments by the council? Or observations? With none being said, do we have anybody who wants to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented, taking into the couple of corrections on the March 6th.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We now vote. All those in favor of approving the consent calendars? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
We'll take that as an aye, not a.
Time delay sensitive.
All right, motion passes. Please move on to number 6, which is the additions or deletions to Preston.
Yes, Your Honor, at your station there is an addition. Under action items, that would be an 8B. That's the, a new budget calendar.
And that's 8B, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. No other additions or deletions. We'll get on with the public comment. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. The City Council values and welcomes public input on matters of city concerns. Please address the council as a whole rather than individual council members. The council may direct staff to resolve the issue or schedule the matter for further council discussion. Please comment. A public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person with an optional 2 minutes for council questions and answers. If you wish to address the council, please come forward to the podium and identify yourself with name and address for the record. Thank you.
I'm talking about the small city, like 2 places, or is it time to talk?
Just public comment time. Come on up, please. Yes.
Oh, I'm kind of lost.
No problem. Yeah, please identify yourself.
My name's Laser Kaluga. I'm a builder developer here in town. I just live a couple miles out of town here. We're on behalf of Basta. She's out of town, so she asked me to stop by and speak about the duplex that she's building it. We are going to propose the same thing right down here on 4th Street, duplex, 0 outline homes with the firewall in the middle. We sold as individual tribes, rules, boarding state rules that we're doing in Sweet Home. We're saying about this home, Sweet Home. That's just I don't know how. Saturday, two homes. Devices that I kind of talked to, but I brought it up, but I haven't talked to anybody hard to talk about anyway. I got the rules here. Yes, the working state. Yes, we just built some movie, so that's where all my homes, the firewall between separate sewer, separate water, separate property, and each side of the soul. So there's a gal here, we have a second boss, we do one building, now one, really, you find a post office.
So you've already identified the property?
What's that?
You've already identified the property you want to use?
Yes, it's right here on 4th Street in Boston, and 2nd Street. I don't know the lot numbers, it just, she just called me and asked me to come to the meeting, she's out of town, so I'm kind of like filling in. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
Would anybody else like to show up there, come up and talk? All right, seeing that nobody else wishes to come up for public comment, we will start with our action items. The first one is action A, which is resolution 25-003, the ARPA WWTP project completion in fiscal year 2025.
Well, thank you, Your Honor. This is a long time in coming, this project. It was planned many years ago. Then it began in phases and engineered, and it was a ready product, a ready project, be able to take advantage of some federal funding that we think about. So congratulations for the city to procure $1 million grant for the wastewater treatment plant project. Prior city managers and then Kyle became the representative for the federal monies. Him and Joe Bechtel, our lead utility worker, were kind of stewards of that. And so the use of that $1 million construction grant, as well as other Rescue Plan Act monies the cities received, is all kind of summarized in this resolution. And it talks about the timing, it talks about the funding, and the amounts, and the fact that the total project budget is a little bit of an estimate because we're not quite done. But this will be wrapped this fiscal year. It'll be done in a few months. It'll be accepted. It's a great project, necessary project. And it accomplished several things, which I won't go into. Our expert here, Kyle, can get into that if you'd like. But the one thing I want to highlight is the capacity of the treatment plant has been increased over 30%. And I don't think that was the expectation, but what a wonderful outcome. As well as all the other efficiencies that we met there. So I give a lot of credit to our city engineers, Gordon Monroe, our public works superintendent, Kyle, and what a wonderful project for the city. And this kind of wraps this for the file. It serves a lot of purposes, and it talks about the history. So great job, city attorneys. Yes. Any questions about that at all? There is some follow-up in here. I mentioned that there's $52,000 left to receive. I will be applying for all that, and I feel fully confident the city's going to get that in this fiscal year. So there'll be no multi-year projects in your budget next year. This is the last one. And I'll be reporting on the FEMA project under my reports, the other multi-year project. So, thank you, Noah.
Thank you very much.
I have questions on those. I think I understand, so I want to make sure I understand fully. We award the grant, but we physically have the money as of right now. We've given it, we've already been using it, or we're waiting for the money to actually get delivered to us. I do know that federal funding has been cut early this week for plans people have already started, and then they're saying, we're not doing it now. So we physically have the money at this point?
All of it, except for this 52,000.
And then, this is a crazy question that I know no one knows the answer to, but like, with Liberation Day happening yesterday, do you have any idea what the tariffs will have effect on this project? With any kind of concept?
It really won't have any effect on this project. No.
Thank you.
It will ongoing, if prices go up for supplies, electricity, I mean, all that could happen, but this project is nearly done. And those concerns don't apply to this project.
Thank you for clarification.
Any other questions for the council? Can we get a motion? Anyone against?
And I was gonna, do we need a motion? Yes. I make a motion to accept resolution number 25-003, a resolution certifying the use of American Rescue Plan Act funds for the Jervis wastewater treatment plant upgrade project.
There's been a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
It's been seconded. We'll do a vote now. All in favor of resolution 25-003 approval, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Gotta make sure. And none for opposed, so motion is passed. Next item on the agenda is the addition to the new budget calendar for fiscal year 25-26 budget process. Preston.
Thank you, Your Honor, and I didn't like having to throw a curveball in our process, but it really wasn't necessary. And let me point out the only change here. You were planning on the first hearing, the second hearing, and the third if necessary. So what this calendar does, it moves it all back just 1 week. The second meeting that you had planned is now the first meeting. And then the third, May 12th, you go back up. The third, if necessary, would be May 19th. So it's not too far out of your schedules or the budget committee schedule. And if you approve this tonight, we'll make sure the budget committee knows the new schedule. But that's really the big change here. The rest kind of all flow from those dates and notifications and everything. And the reason for having to do that, I mentioned kind of on the staff report here that we're just not quite ready with the numbers like we had hoped. So that's going to delay the process. It's going to delay the delivery of a recommended budget by a week to the budget committee. And we are relying on our CPA, who's working very diligently on the past few years. She's now focusing on just 2004 and more so the current fiscal year. So those numbers are getting done, and then she will be ready to provide the numbers needed to put together the recommendation. So together with my budget notes a recommended budget can be put together by someone like myself or Amber, or we don't want to rely on the CPA to do this. Somebody else, but that budget can come together in short order. And you'll have an adoptable, workable budget for next fiscal year that can be presented to the budget committee. Jesse, is your hand up?
It is. Could you just revisit the year for me, please? It's 2004.
Right, she's working on
2020.
calendar year.
2024.
Or, yes, 2024. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, she's been working heavily lately on 2004 and now 2024, yes. And focusing, of course, on since July 1st. As you know, the financials, for the city, need a lot of repair. Going back 2 years. And that's been brought forward at least to the current fiscal year. And our CPA is really working diligently to do that. I was kind of hoping I might be able to leapfrog that and work on 2026 fiscal year. That's not gonna happen. So, but together with my notes, that budget can come together fairly quickly once Sarah, our CPA, finishes those numbers. Your budget next year is going to be fairly simple in a lot of respects. There's no multi-year projects. There's no one-time monies going out the door. There's no one-time monies coming in. There's certain things that change that I'll advise on staffing and debt service and we're going to start next year with a capital improvement program. It'll be 4 distinct projects. Kyle, our city engineer, myself, looked at what can we do next year, get it started on our CIP. And the CIP can be a centerpiece of your budget every year. It's the tangible things the city does. Water, sewer, storm, it's infrastructure and how those monies relate to the funds. I'll ensure those are all adequate for next year.
How do you mute it? Oh, there. Yeah.
$14,000 for a standard deduction is normal, right?
For a single person?
Yeah, for
I
standard.
think so. I think so. Are you using TurboTax?
Somebody's getting some work done. But we've had a lot of discussion lately about trying to take advantage of grants, and unfortunately, we're not ready. You have to have a ready project to take advantage of, like the wastewater treatment plant. When that came on board, the city was ready to go. It was a triple grant. Without an ongoing CIP, where you have multi-year projects in certain phases, you can't take advantage of grant opportunities that arise. So, thanks to Kyle and his initiative and our city engineer, we did apply for one. Very low chances of success, but that's a credit to Kyle's initiative. Kyle acts like a public works director in many respects, not just a superintendent. And that's a great thing for the city. So future years, the city's going to be having a variety of one-time year projects and multi-year for the CIP. And it's going to be a highlight of your budget every year. Show what tangible results your city's doing. Any questions on the budget calendar? Are you okay with those dates?
I have a question.
Yes.
When we first talked about the budget calendar, you had 2 firm dates and the third is necessary. This one makes it seem like the second one might be necessary. Is there any reason to assume that we wouldn't need a second meeting?
It's wishful thinking.
Wishful thinking, got it,
Yeah.
perfect, love it.
Right. Typically 2 meetings, but not necessarily.
So our 21st meeting that we were gonna meet in person, that's switched to the 28th for in person?
Correct.
And
That'll
then
be
the
your
12th
first
is the-
meeting.
Well,
And 12 will be the second, yes.
need to make sure I get my calendar fixed.
Sorry to do that to you.
The questions I got for the budget is, recently in the meetings, we've been hearing that there have been repairs needed, we're getting custody repaired, things on that line, finances. Can you explain the tangibles, what is going on? I mean, hearing it needs repaired is one thing, but people would like to know, council probably like to know why it's being repaired. What's going on, what's the reason?
You bet. And let me turn to Amber, who's going to talk about what is being prepared The why is a whole different story. Probably don't want to get into the why, but the what, Amber can describe.
Or tangibles, we want to know, Chris, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The tangibles are that over a period of time, you've had some changes of staffing that have created some gaps in some places of getting everything booked. Some examples of that would be making sure that the PERS accounts for employees are reconciled, so their retirement accounts are accurate, making sure that the state and federal taxes are paid to the appropriate government agencies so that you don't have fines and penalties for not paying taxes. None of us want that. The other things are booking journal entries, making sure that your ending balances are accurate. So you start with beginning fund balances that are accurate. And if you think about that like your checkbook, you start out with, I have X dollars, and then you do all of your transactions and you get to the end and you reconcile that with your bank statement. That sort of work was not done on a consistent manner. And so there's about 2 years of catch up that the CPA is working through on a number of different issues similar to those described. There's also some micro, components with that. But it takes time to go back and figure out where the books were, book all of the entries accurately, test the balances at the end before you can move to the next year. So she started with your most delinquent year and is working her way through. She's approaching the point where she can reconcile the 2024 books to allow for you guys to have an audit, which also confirms your beginning balances, which then feeds into this budget process. And that's why it's important that she gets to do that work. The budget will be prepared with our best estimates, with a caveat that the audit is not complete. So the beginning fund balances will be best estimates. After your audit is complete, you have the option to come back in the next fiscal year and do a budget adjustment. The formal term is a supplemental budget, so fancy word for correction to your budget, to align those with your audit. That way you're assured that you have clean, concise books that the auditors agree with to move forward from. And I think that's important to all of you to have accurate bookkeeping. If you don't have accurate bookkeeping, you can risk budget violations, over expenditures, and those sorts of things, and those are not desirable on any part. That also becomes important to your compliance agencies. And when I say compliance, I mean, when you get grant money, those agencies look at what's the fiscal health of the organization, can you afford to make those grants, and can you accurately keep track of their money until it's no longer theirs. So all of those things are important, but it does feed into the budget process because the budget is your one legal document that outlines your finances for your community at the start of the fiscal year, and you're not allowed to operate until you have one adopted. So it's really important that gets adopted before July 1 rolls around, or you're going to have a different challenge, and we're doing everything we can to not get you to that point.
Thank you very much. So for clarification, to sum it all up, you're going back 2 years to reconcile and fix issues right now.
Yes.
And you're currently working still on the delinquent budget and haven't been able to start the new one yet until this one's done.
That's correct.
Thank you.
I mean, a natural question for me is going to be, you said we're not allowed to operate until it's resolved. I would have to say that we have compliance.
You are currently out of compliance with your audit process because your audits are due within 6 months of the close of your fiscal year. Your fiscal year closes June 30th. Your audit is deliverable to the state of Oregon by December 31st. That deadline has already long bypassed us. An extension was requested, and the CPA continues to do this work to just get you there. The audit is scheduled to take place in May. You can adopt your budget without that audit being complete. You just have to make your best good faith effort to estimate your beginning balances, and then you shore it up after the fact once the audit's confirmed.
Thank you, ma'am.
You said the extension was requested.
It was requested now, and I'm saying that with a good faith that the CPA knows that she's done that.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Council, any other questions? No. Would someone like to make a motion?
I got you. I'll make a motion that we change the budget calendar to the new adoption of removing the 21st of April and adding the 19th of May if necessary.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I would recommend that the motion just be to adopt the amended budget calendar. I think all of the dates were bumped, not just those two.
Yes, yes, sir. Well,
Just on the back. It's
It's just customary, as Diana kind of pointed out, that you always, with a budget calendar, you assign a budget office of responsibility. To that title, it's fine, you know. You may not need to do it because you've already done it once, but it's just customary to always do it.
Thanks, Jesse. I have faith in you. I move to approve the revised budget calendar as presented and appoint the interim city manager as a budget officer for the fiscal year 2026 budget adoption process. How do you think I always sound to you when I say?
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Sorry, it's been seconded. Let's go ahead and have a vote now, please. All those in favor of approving the revised budget calendar is presented, appoint the interim city manager for the budget office of fiscal year 2026 budget adoption process. Say yes.
Aye.
Yes.
I works also. I believe you said aye, correct, Audra?
Yes, I said aye.
All right. So motion passes. Thank you. Thank you. We're moving on to additional reports and information reports. So MWBCOG services. Welcome, Scott.
Mayor and council, Scott Denson with the Mid-Atlantic Valley Council of Governments. Going to give you a quick overview. I think in your packet, you have this. I'm going to leave copies if people want to see what that is. And that is how our board, your board with the COG sets what we call a local service plan. For those of you who work in school systems, you may see them through your ESDs. It's pretty similar in how they're set up. WESD happens to be a member of the COG as well. So we learned from them when we put that together. So since 57, we provide a series of services. So our income is based upon two things: membership dues, which are about 3% of our budget, and the rest are based upon services that we provide. We provide these services and can provide these services for up to 44 members, 15 districts, special districts that are members of the COG, 3 counties and 33 cities. The special districts kind of come and go sometimes. It depends on the kinds of things that they need from us. We provide everything from general administrative style services, like what we're doing for you folks in your interim phase, as you move towards management and making sure that things get done according to your charter, and budget work and admin work and some of those support structures, all the way to planning. Holly and you all know Holly. Holly provides planning services, has 7, longer than I've been. So she provides those services, and with her tonight, she'll introduce another gentleman who's been providing services all around our 3-county region. So we provide, Holly might have 6 or 7 cities. Is that about right? 5 currently. She needs some more. But we have a planning staff that can have up to 6 or 7 cities per planner, and they'll provide those kinds of land use planning services, whether the current planning or other requirements of DLCD. I can look at her. She knows more about that stuff than I do. She'll bring you up to speed on that. But so we provide those kinds of services. Then into community development, we do grant administration, grant writing for basic, more or less public facility style grant management. So those are your water, sewer, utility types of applications through either DEQ or USDA or Economic Development Authority, which is EDA dollars. There's about 29 granting facilities through the federal government, and the state of Oregon has business Oregon. So we'll prep those. As you heard Preston allude to earlier, it's also helping many of our communities be prepared to do those in the first place. If you don't have a CIP, if you don't have a capital plan, it's kind of hard to take advantage of opportunities as they come up if you haven't planned for them, especially in the public good, public facility areas. We're not writing grants we don't write grants for example, the school system. They generally will have their own grant writers, and ESD will provide those things through a local service plan. However, we may work with the ESD on IT. For example, we use ESD's IT services, and then we do work for them in reverse. So we do some of those kinds of things to support. We also do a lot of GIS services and data analytics. So everything from redistricting maps, localized redistricting for school districts and for cities and counties, that kind of mapping, to utility mapping, to lots. We set up enterprise systems. For example, the computer system in Yamhill County, we installed and maintained that system for them on their behalf between the assessor's office and the planning office. So we'll do those kinds of services. We also provide other kinds of administrative support, such as legal services. We do provide legal services to about 12 or 13 of our small communities that may not necessarily have a large need for legal services. Something like a St. Paul, may not exactly always need that. However, we can provide that, and when they need that, we have people on staff that provide that kind of legal support. We do project management and those kinds of things. So one of the ways to do it is we're the extra set of hands for especially a lot of the smaller towns. They can't afford to have all the staff that they want to do things. So we'll hire that one staff person. They'll do work for several of our jurisdictions. The other things that we do transportation planning services. Specifically, we support the MPO, which is a Metropolitan Planning Organization. You folks may know of it as SCATS, the Salem-Keizer Area Transit System Plan. So we provide the support mechanism for that MPO, which then receives federal highway dollars for certain things within that jurisdiction. Salem, Keizer, Turner, Almsville, I think will be coming on as a member of that as well. So we'll provide those kinds of support services, but we also do other kinds of transportation planning services for our jurisdictions who might need a specialized plan that's required by the state, so that they can then apply for road assistance or capital improvements within the city or their jurisdiction. So that's a pretty big part of our staff, and we have that. And then the last service that we provide are lending services for small business startup. We've been doing that for about 37 years. We've done about somewhere in the neighborhood of $41 million of lending. That's leveraged about $250 million of private lending throughout the 3-county region. Over our 37 years of doing that, we actually have a lending officer on board. And then we mix that with the economic development district that we work. So you have a unified 3-county economic development plan called the SEDS. And we try to match our loaning and other grant opportunities through that system on behalf of you folks. So if an EDA grant is needed or a USDA grant is needed, we have a plan that then checks that box, and then we can help secure those funds if those funds are available to you folks for various public work style projects that would assist economic development. So those are the kinds of things we do overall. And then we get calls on certain dates, and mayors call us and say, can you show up down here and help us through a short-term problem that we have? And that's what we did, for example, for you folks. So we showed up, and we brought what you don't see is you see Preston, who's on our staff, but you see Amber here, and some of our other folks. Renee is here with us tonight. Those are a part of our overhead and back office support structures that support Preston's work while he's here, and other needs that you folks may have on weekly or daily basis. So, in running the city. So those are the kinds of things that we do. In your packet, you have how we do that. We do an annual report and let you know of all the various types of projects that we do. We do an annual dinner and generally try to recognize good work throughout the region when people, especially when people work together to solve problems. We want to support those kinds of things when jurisdictions work together to solve various types of issues and problems. We recognized a couple from Northern Marion County at our last dinner, some of the economic development work that's happening in the northern part of the county. So that was nice to be able to recognize that and the good work that a bunch of the jurisdictions in Northern Marion County and the county and Woodburn and some of those folks are doing. So those are the types of things we do. Our board is made up of representatives from small towns, large cities. There is a certain designation of who sits on the board. Like I said, we've been around since '57. So the bigger players were the counties, and at the time when they started, the city of Salem, as you can well imagine, being the largest jurisdiction, 3-county region, and the Salem Kaiser School District, which was called something different at the time that it started. I don't know what that is. So, but the school district was one of the players at the time when we started that many years ago. So that's an overview of what we do. Can I answer any questions of council? We gave this to you in your packet. If you have any questions about some of the things that we do and how we do that.
I have a question, please.
Yes, sir.
Being that we did call out, reached out, asked the call to come in, questions have been raised or arises a few times about, hey, what's it costing us? What's it costing?
Sure.
So the question I have for you is, honestly, how much more are you costing us? So let's say the previous legal advice and city manager we had with all of you working together.
The services of legal and the financial person you had those before we showed up on the scene. So Sarah's group was engaged by you folks before. You had other legal counsel, and then you brought Tyler on as well. So those types of services are not through us. Those are separate contracts with those folks, and you've had those before us. Our services are all the backing to Preston as he does things, and we back and support him in his efforts to try to do those things. We will have a reconciliation hopefully next week. We've been working on that because of the numbers, as Amber noted before. We want to make sure we had those things correctly. It's about 60 some odd hours per month, somewhere in that range. We have a fee schedule that we adopt and we do that, but our early analysis shows that it's about the cost of it. You had a permanent person sitting in there, so we'll have that reconciliation to you. Then you folks can ask away, and we'll be happy to answer any of those questions. We're just not done with that yet. And those are some costs. Once we're gone and we're not providing that service to you, then you have year-over-year services, depending on who you hire and how you do that, other kinds of contracts you might engage in. So we do that, and we just, as usual, we bake in our overhead and those kinds of things. And that's where Amber and myself and several others hide in that overhead part of that cost. So we don't hide, but that's what we are in those costs. So as soon as we have the reconciliation, we will forward that to you folks and do that. The board adopts those service fees every year as part of our budget. We send those out, and then all of our members sign a contract generally around July 1st. They'll sign a contract with us, and they'll order off the a la carte menu as they see fit. Now, one of the things we do have is we have a series of services that are very normalized. We've provided planning service for you folks. The reason that rises or falls is based on the number of applications you might have for current planning, or where you folks might drive planning needs, or if you get a new grant, or if something requires that to happen. So those aren't all the costs thrown at you folks. They're just as you need them, and throughout the year we can provide those kinds of services. Sorry, I don't have a specific number, but we should have that to you next week.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, you're welcome. And any other questions?
Thanks,
I'm
Scott.
going to leave these copies up here, and I'm going to introduce Holly Bynum. She serves as your planner, and she's part of our Community Economic Development and Planning Division, has been for 7.5, 8 years. And Jim Jack, they're going to come up and talk to you about some planning processes.
Bring this chair.
Yeah, we can bring it here.
It'll be shorter if you stand.
Good evening.
While you're introducing, I'm gonna do the handout.
Wonderful. For the record, my name is Holly Byram and I work for the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments. My role as your contact city planner is to be available for when the city of Jervis receives land use development applications and any other related questions that might come along leading up to those applications. We've talked in the past how Jervis is a bit unique because most cities have planning commissions that hold your preliminary hearings on a lot of those land use applications. But without the planning commission here in Jervis, they come straight to you every time. And so what that means is that staff works extra hard ahead of time to make sure we iron out any red flags that might be issues for appeal. We really want to keep the decision here in Jervis because you don't have a local appeals body. We don't want to go to the Land Use Board of Appeals. That's a waste of everyone's time and money. So we work very hard to bring you development applications and staff findings that are ready for approval with recommended conditions of approval, so there's no lingering issues. Because so many of you are new, we wanted to provide you an overview of land use planning procedures in Oregon. We want you to feel confident when we have upcoming land use hearings, your role in this position. So Jim has provided you a packet of information. We definitely don't have time to go through all of it this evening. Our goal is to kind of hit on some of the priorities. He's been good enough to highlight some of that text for you. I'm going to turn the microphone over to Jim, but I am available if you have any questions. You'll be seeing me over the next few months as we have land use applications on the horizon. And I am available to you. I'm happy to answer questions ahead of time so that you feel confident in your role making decisions for your community. So without further ado, Jim Jack.
Jim, before you get started, if I might, Your Honor, I just wanted to emphasize that the timing of this is very important. You will be conducting your quasi-judicial hearings and taking testimony at your next regular meeting, which is May 8th. So this, you might listen to the testimony and keep that in mind, because you might have questions. Because you will be planning commissioners and councilors at your next regular meeting.
I actually saw on the email that there's actually a yellow security for that coming out. It's right for me.
Sorry, Jim.
Okay, given the time and what's left on the agenda, about how much time do we have for this item?
10 or 15 minutes, what, 15 minutes?
15, 20, 15?
Okay.
So what I've handed to you is a condensed version of many more pages and so forth. Often these land use planning training sessions, they're a minimum of 2 hours, or they can be extended, for example, on a Saturday morning from 9 to noon, or even extending into 1 o'clock. So in just a few minutes, we're going to hit the highlights and keep moving on as quick as I can. So the first item on your packet or your handouts
is just some general things about the Oregon statewide planning program. And it's unique. There is no other state in the union that requires every city and county to adopt a comprehensive plan and implement that plan with development regulations. And another unique part of the Oregon program is an urban growth boundary. You have your city limits, but then cities grow generally. And so outside your city limits, you have a urban growth boundary line where roughly in a 20-year planning horizon, you have set aside land to grow out to. So with that kind of an introduction, what I might mention is this came about in 1973. The legislature passed Senate Bill 100, and not just there in 73 or 72 or 71 or 70, but going back into the 60s, Oregon was growing rapidly, and California had already grown rapidly and was continuing to grow. And people were concerned that what was going on in California, particularly Southern California, would not happen here in Oregon. Whether it's the Willamette Valley or the Rogue Valley, the Umpqua Valley, Eastern, Central Oregon, wherever, a lot of people were concerned that ag would not be part of our economy anymore. Potentially timber, lumber, and wood products would not be part of our economy anymore. Those were the two major parts of the Oregon economy. The silicon forest had not yet been created, although Tektronix was there ever since World War II ended. But there was great concern, and a couple of things that are good examples of the concern is Wilsonville, where we all know Wilsonville, where it is, and it's, I don't know what, 22,000 people now, but it incorporated in the 1960s. So it was just a little tiny town out on the very fringe, southern fringe of the Portland metro area. And of course, the Portland metro area, whether it was Gresham in the east or over Forest Grove in the west, all those communities were growing. But everybody kind of thought, yeah, the Sandy River on the east, Troutdale stopped there. They don't seem to be going across the Sandy River. And the Willamette River, yeah, that'll be a natural boundary on the south. And nobody's gone across the Willamette River. But then Charbonneau came along, a golf course residential development. And it was proposed on the south side of the Willamette River. They said, where can we get sewer and water? Well, the new city of Wilsonville said, oh, we're right here. We'd be glad to. And so all of a sudden, sewer and water pipes were on the Boone Bridge, I-5, serving a major development on the south side of the Willamette River. That really got people's attention. And so rather than have the San Fernando Valley experience in Oregon, people got concerned, and eventually Senate Bill 100 was passed in 1973. So the other example is Christmas Valley. You may know where it is, you may not have ever heard of it, but if you go, I don't know, 150 miles southeast of Bend, it's an old Pleistocene lake bed area. The California developer bought several thousand acres, platted several thousand lots, put in an airfield. It's going to have a community building and a swimming pool and all those things. And now, even today, there's only about 200 people that live there, but there are thousands of lots platted out there in the desert. So that was another example that got people very concerned. So the Senate Bill 100 created the Land Conservation and Development Commission, LCDC, and then it also created the Oregon Department of Land Conservation and Development, DLCD. Don't worry, everybody confuses those, LCDC, DLCD, but one is the commission, 7 volunteers from the state, citizens who are appointed by the governor, confirmed by the Senate, And then the department, the LCD, are the state employees that are hired to administer the program. Not going into any of the details about that. One of the other things the bill required was that LCDC, the commission, adopt statewide planning goals. And so eventually in the late 70s, they adopted 19 goals. So I'm on page 2 of that top handout. A couple of them, the first 2 are process goals. Then there's several that are related to conservation, several that are related to development, urbanization, cities. And then 4, the last 4 to be adopted, relate to the coast. Obviously here you don't have to deal with the coastal goals. And goal 15 on the Willamette River Greenway, we don't need to deal with because the Willamette River is not here where Jervis is located. So the rest of that handout lists each goal and what the name is, like goal 1, citizen involvement, and it includes a statement that is the goal statement to give you an idea as to what that goal is about. So citizen involvement, and then land use planning, agricultural lands. The basic idea is to save ag land for farmers. Goal 4 is forest lands, save forest lands for timber companies and harvest. Goal 5 is somewhat of a catch-all. It addresses open spaces, scenic and historic areas, and natural resources. Then goal 6 is air, water, and land resources quality. For example, there's a lot of coordination between the statewide program and other state departments. And so with the goal 6, air, water, and land resources quality, you might think, oh, the department, the LCD, and the commission, the LCDC, and all cities and counties with their comp plans and implementing ordinances, they must control air quality. Emissions from smokestacks. Well, no, that's what DEQ does, the Department of Environmental Quality, with their citizen commission, the Environmental Quality Commission. So there's things that you might think would fit with goal 6, like air quality, but it's a different state department that deals with that. Goal 7 is natural disasters and hazards. As I remember, there is no national flood insurance program here because you have no land that is in the 100-year floodplain. So good, you don't have to deal with any of that. Goal 8 is recreation. Goal 9 is economy. Goal 10 is housing. Goal 11, and this is where the comprehensive nature of the comp plan comes in, public facilities and services. So if you're going to plan for a city to grow, you need to also plan for your water, your sewer system, storm drain system, and goal 12, transportation system, to expand and grow with the urbanization that occurs. Goal 13 is energy. That is kind of out of all the goals, the one that has received the least attention. It's basically oriented toward conserving energy, not going out and starting fracking and all those kinds of things to generate energy. Goal 14 is the urban growth boundary goal. Again, where you have a line outside your city limits that includes enough land to accommodate future growth, residential, commercial, industrial, public lands like schools and parks. And one thing to keep in mind is some people are kind of concerned and have been ever since Senate Bill 100 was passed that the statewide program really is just a conservation thing. It limits growth and development. But Oregon is the only state in the country that requires cities to have an urban growth boundary to accommodate 20 years worth of growth. How can that be only a conservation program? So it's a land conservation and development program. And part of what you will do, and what the city has been doing, is complying with goal 10 to have enough land for housing. Goal 11, you've got a park, water master plan, the sewer master plan, the storm drain master plan, those are really done through the Public Works Department with the city engineer, but they need to be adopted as an element of your comp plan. Goal 12, transportation. The item is called a transportation systems plan, and it addresses vehicle, rail, natural gas, pipelines of various sorts. So it's, again, comprehensive, and all these things are coordinated. A water master plan would not call for a 15-inch water main to be out in the part of town where there is going to be single-family development. You'd need a big water pipe or water main for apartment, high-density housing, but you wouldn't need a big pipe for detached, single-family subdivision type development. So all of these things, these systems are coordinated. With that, I think I'll stop and move on to the next one. Time is going, I know. The second one is types of land use applications. And I'm not going to go through these one by one. The aims of the types of applications are highlighted in yellow. I might note that at the end, at the very end, there's annexations. So I don't know how soon your next annexation might occur, but there's also subdivisions on the page before that, page 2. Subdivisions have plats, and some of these old 100, 120-year-old plats haven't developed like you think they would have. And so occasionally you have, for example, school facilities in an area that was subdivided 100 years ago for individual lots, and all that's still there. But the school facilities are on top of it all. And the property lines that were recorded just don't match up at all. And so, as I understand it, the school district may sometime this year come to the city and say, we'd like to have the plats under some of our facilities vacated, gotten rid of, basically, so that you don't see a school facility, like a school building, and its parking lot and playgrounds, and all of a sudden, oh yeah, there's a public right of way running through there. It's never been improved. There's no street there, never has been, but it's a public right of way. And then the buildings are on top of 20 or 30 what originally were thought maybe would be detached single family dwellings. So there's things called replats. We take care of that. And Holly would take you through that process and write up the staff report and make it hopefully a very easy process. But you never know, there could be some situations where there's some historical leftover legal issue to work out. Another thing might be if you have a new school, then it would go through what's called site development review. And again, that's a type of application. There's an application form. There's criteria to be met in the development code. So it's all there waiting to be implemented. The next handout is roles and responsibilities. And again, I'm not going to go through these individually, but when it comes to land use planning, and without the city having a planning commission, we're taking on the role of the planning commission. And when things come to you for a decision, your job is to make a decision. And so some of this information later is the process involved and how you make that decision. And I might note that we're all supporters of the United States and Oregon constitutions. As you were sworn in, you said, yes, I will uphold the Constitution of the United States and of Oregon and the Charter of the city. So there's a thing in the constitutions called due process. And that's where a lot of this procedure comes from. Sometimes people complain and are concerned about the process. You mean you gotta have a hearing? You mean you gotta take time to notify citizens around that property that might be affected? Well, of course, it's due process. It's been in the Constitution for 200 years. So that's one way to explain to people that, yeah, we follow the Constitution. We have due process here. One of your roles, and when you get more comfortable with the land use planning process, you'll be more comfortable with this role of educating people. So that if you see somebody and they hear about a subdivision in town or a new school gonna come in and they want to talk to you and everything at the grocery store or something like that, you can say, oh, wait a minute, I'm gonna jump into my education role. What we'd like to do is have you come to the hearing or submit written comments so that all the decision makers can know what your concern is, so that the people in support of and in opposition to can know what your concerns are. So it's a public process, due process. So the next one is kind of in that role situation, how to be a highly effective decision maker. And I'm only going to hit the headlines here. Number one, prepare yourself. And there's several items there that can kind of give you an idea as to what you can do to be prepared. The next one is be yourself. Just because you're on the city council or a planning commission, or if there were a commission, some people just kind of realize, oh my gosh, there's attention being paid to me. I'm not used to this, but just be yourself. Don't worry about all that other stuff. You don't have the Washington Post or the Portland TV stations looking over your shoulder. So be yourself, get used to what you're doing and how you do it and the process that the city staff takes you through to reach a decision. The fourth item, or the third item, is do your job as best you can. Everybody has personal lives and time constraints. And even though you volunteered to run for office and were appointed or elected, yeah, you still have other things going on in your life. So as best as you can, do your job. The next one is support the process. That means as you're going through particularly a public hearing, and the mayor has all these things on a scripted list, and one by one, you go through in that order. It's better to say, yes, let's hear from the people who are here, rather than say, well, we're running out of time, we're going to close the hearing and we'll deliberate to a decision and that'll be it. Boy, support the process. And then P stands for public. You are the leaders of a public agency, an incorporated city. And if you're a planning commission member, then you're that same kind of a public person. You don't wear your private sector hat, your company hat for whoever you work for. You wear your public hat when you're doing the public's work. The next one is conducting a successful public hearing. And the first part that's in the yellow, and I'll just read it, is everyone that is a party to a public hearing wants the hearing to proceed smoothly and be fair to all the parties. The goal of the body conducting the hearing is to ensure the hearing is equitable for all the parties. By following a well-scripted step-by-step process, the hearing will be fair to all the parties and it will be conducted successfully. So nobody comes to a hearing hoping that it's going to be a disaster. They come to the hearing, and even if they've never come to a city council hearing before and think that, oh yeah, this might be a free-for-all. I've heard about some of these crazy local government meetings, and I'm ready to hoot and holler. And well, once they get here and the first thing they see is, oh yeah, we have a roll call, we have a pledge of allegiance, and now that we're in the hearing, we have some material that has to be read and is read because of state law requirements. And part of that is, here's the order of testimony. Staff report, applicant, those in favor, those opposed, people neither for or against, they just have comments to make. And finally, the applicant. And after everybody has testified, and sometimes there's questions and people come back out there, asked to come back to answer questions, the applicant always gets the final rebuttal. So that's 5 pages in, I don't know, 90 seconds. But at least the mayor has the list and reads things step by step. So once the hearing's coming up, there's 3 items: ex parte contact, bias, and conflict of interest. So ex parte contact is where instead of taking in all the information at the hearing, public process, due process, somebody you see out, maybe you're walking the dog or whatever, and they say, oh my gosh, I know she's on city council. Well, I've heard about this development that's right next to my property. I'm gonna let her know what I think. I'm not gonna drop this opportunity. And so they want to tell you all about it. Well, that's again, you can say, well, I'm sorry, but it's an ex parte contact is what you're wanting to have here. And that's not a good thing. I want you to come to the city council meeting or at least submit written comments and say what all your concerns are. That way, not just me, but everybody that's a decision maker will get to know what's on your mind, what your concerns are. The applicant then will also be given a copy of that and know that, oh, these are concerns. I didn't think about these. What can I do with my project to address them? Other people who are opponents are saying, oh yeah, we got those same concerns. And so when it's a public process, then everybody has an opportunity to say what they want to say. And if somebody is saying something that's not quite accurate, who knows these days, an outright lie, trying to influence you with erroneous information, then it's there for the public to know about. And someone in the audience can say, oh, wait a minute, no, that's not true. And during their testimony, they can say, yeah, this one position says this is true, but I know that it's not true, and this is why. So once you get to the truth and already get past a motion to approve or approve with conditions or possibly deny, although denials are pretty rare, you can have some assurance that your decision is made on factual information, not just opinions that people are throwing out there, hoping something will stick on the wall that will submarine the project. So ex parte contact, and you take care of that at the beginning when the mayor says, I open the public hearing. Do any of the councilors have ex parte contacts to divulge? Yes, I have one. And you say what it was so that everybody can know what that is. And whether it's in the grocery store, out walking your dog, or a neighbor that you talk with over the fence, you can say, or even if you visited, drove by the property, you can say, this is what happened, this is what I noticed, this is the information that I heard or gathered before I could stop the person and tell him to put it in writing or come to the hearing. So that's how you deal with it. You just say, yep, I have an ex parte contact and this is what it was. So bias is the next one. And bias is pretty tough to deal with. Everybody has bias about various things. And so the point is, if you are so biased about a person that's the applicant or what they're proposing, that you believe you cannot make a decision based on the merits, then when the mayor is saying, does anybody, at the beginning of the hearing, does anybody have any biases to divulge? You say, yes, this kid was a problem in 4th grade and I've hated that person ever since. And if I get a chance, I'm going to vote no on this. Well, then you need to recuse yourself and not participate as a decision maker. There's all kinds of biases. And so again, it's basically up to each party or each decision maker to say, yes, I have a bias and this is what it is. And that's why I'm going to recuse myself. And particularly if it's a situation where it's that much of a bias, there's probably somebody else, even in the audience, that knows about it. And if you don't do it, then they're going to come up and testify and they can say, I object to Counselor X participating because that counselor has told me many times that they have whatever the bias is. And I believe they should not participate. So just neutralize all that stuff by coming forward at the right time. Conflict of interest is the last page or the last handout. And an awful lot of people kind of confuse bias with conflict of interest. So bias is your attitude about something that is so strong that you know you couldn't make a decision based on the merits. Conflict of interest is all about money. If you, with your vote, are going to make money, then that's a conflict. Or if you, by your vote, are going to prevent yourself from losing money, that's a conflict of interest. Then there's two types. One is where there's an actual conflict, where you would, is the word that's underlined and bolded in the handout, where you would make money. So just kind of a simple example, the subdivision is proposed, the developer has hired you as a contractor that builds houses to build all the houses in the subdivision. So if you, as a decision maker, vote yes, the subdivision's approved, your separate contract with that developer means you get to build all the houses. You would make money. The other kind is a little more nuanced. It's where it's a potential conflict, and it's where you could, maybe, might make money. Let's say in town, you're an insurance agent and you sell, what is it now? If you're selling insurance, it's got to be bundled. So you sell all the different kinds of insurances. And you're thinking, gosh, if I vote yes on this as a city councilor, then some of the houses will be built. Some of the people that move there might come to my office and want to buy insurance. Oh, do I have a real conflict of interest? Well, you have a potential conflict of interest, but it's not one where you would make money. It's where you might, maybe, you could make money. So if you have a real, actual conflict, then the mayor says, does anybody have a conflict of interest to announce? You say, yes, I do. I have a contract with the developer of this project, and I get to build all the houses. I would make money, so I'm recusing myself. I'm not participating. For a potential, the solution is, again, you say, yes, I have a conflict of interest. It's a potential. I'm an insurance agent in town, as all of you know, and I'm concerned that I might make money because some people that would live in the houses might come to me to buy insurance. But that's not the actual, it's a potential. I don't have to, by state law, recuse myself. And at that point, you either say, but I am going to recuse myself just to keep this a squeaky clean process. Or you say, I'm not required to by law recuse myself, and I'm not. I think I can make a good decision. I'm going to continue participating. So. Oh, well, yeah, it's not just yourself. If you're going to make money or could make money, thank you, Holly. It's if people in your family are involved, if you're in a business and your business is involved, there's several gradations of parties that might be scooped into you being on the council and being a business partner or a relative or whatever. All of that's laid out in the state law. And when it does come to conflict of interest, it's always a good idea to contact the city manager and say, oh yeah, I see we've got a hearing. Here's the applicant. Here's the whatever I think I may have. Talk over the situation with the city manager. And often the city manager, because that's part of their professional knowledge, will be able to say, yeah, that is an actual, or no, it's only a potential. And then if it's really iffy, you or the city manager, but probably you, can call the Oregon Government Ethics Commission and say, this is my situation. You don't even have to identify yourself or say what jurisdiction you're from. But each time I call them with, just a planner asking a question, the person who answered the phone knew all the law and could tell me what I needed to know. So if you called the Oregon Government Ethics Commission and said, this is my situation, they would, I have great confidence the person you're talking to would be able to tell you all the ins and outs. And at the end of the conversation, you would know if it's an actual or just a potential. So anything else that I should cover that?
That was wonderful. Now they have plenty of reading material.
Yes, one of the things about a PowerPoint presentation is you see it up on the screen and the slides go by every 2 seconds. And then when you leave, what have you got? Nothing, but those wonderful memories, knowing that you're probably not going to remember half the slides if you're like me. But this, you have something in writing to take home and at your leisure, you can read through it. And if you have questions about it, you could give Patty a buzz or call me. And we can help you get through it because this is really just a flash in the pan, kind of an exposure to Oregon land use planning. Any questions or wonderings?
Questions?
I don't think so. No, Jim and Holly both, thank you very much for coming. I want to say thank you very much for providing the land use planning training, guidance that came with it. There's quite a bit of it here. We'll go through it. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
And no, you won't be able to create a planning commission by next year.
Understand. All right, next item on the agenda is our staff reports. Start with the police department, please.
Good evening, everybody. Sergeant Camacho. Calls for service and officer initiated calls. We had 178. We had 3 arrests, 14 traffic offenses, 15 traffic warnings, and we assisted outside agencies within the outside city limits 7 times. We assisted other agencies within inside the city limits 1 time, and we had 26 new ordinance issues, and we closed 30 ordinance issues. Last month, also, our officers received TASER training for our new TASER 10s from Axon. We also rolled out our new body cameras and should be rolling out our new in-car cameras and license plate readers within the next month, hopefully. Axon will be coming out to install those. And it is kind of cool because we are actually the only agency in Marion County that has any of that equipment. And one of the few agencies in the entire state that has the new TASER 10s and the license plate readers and stuff like that. So it'll be exciting getting to use those. And so also our officers, our Officer Brad and Officer Navarro attended narcotics training at DPSST. And also I just wanted to point out that we appreciate the city, the community's patience with us as we are currently working at half staffing levels. And so we have a lot of workload and we're trying to keep up with training and making sure that we're meeting DPSST standards as far as our officers go and the training that is needed to keep our certifications going while also, providing the service that the community deserves. So we appreciate the patience and I want to just recognize Officer Brad here and Officer Navarro who put in a lot of work, especially, our officers are coming in on days off and putting in a lot of overtime to make sure that the community is getting the police services that it deserves. So I just want to say, I appreciate our staff and then Crystal also, who does a lot of work behind the scenes for the police department. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda, staff report for Public Works Department. Kyle.
Good evening here. A lot of the things that I had to cover, we kind of touched on earlier with the ARPA funding and closing out that this fiscal year, which would be good. One other bit of good news here, the small city allotment grant for the sum of $250,000. We had a meeting with our city engineer. He was given the notice to proceed on the final engineering for that, so we can get that kicked off. This particular project does need to be completed financially everything closed before the city will apply for another one, so we hope to streamline that. Kind of getting the Black Walnut Park prepared for the busy summer season. Yet again, it's discovered that some repairs will be needed at the splash pad. We've been in contact with several different manufacturers for the parts. The factory parts that come there are kind of prohibitively expensive, so looking at some alternatives that'll give us the same service out of it for substantially less. We'll see if we can come up with that. One other thing, there's 2 city trees that were cut down in town without any kind of permission or notice. We've been working in cooperation with the Jervis Police. We've handled that very appropriately. No charges. We're working with the resident to resolve that by replanting individual stumps, so that will have a potentially good outcome there and discourage that from happening in the future. And kind of the big news is, like I said, you touched on it earlier, with the wastewater treatment plant. The construction phase of it has essentially been completed. And we went through our first significant weather event where we saw well over 3 inches of rain in a very short amount of time, which would have greatly stressed our old pumps. This thing handled it just like it didn't even happen. So that's been real great. Been able to sleep better at night. We did grant a time extension for the contractor, and with that we were on bypass pumping for a substantially longer period of time than initially anticipated. So the city did incur fairly significant amount of costs out of pocket, including additional labor, electricity charges, and that. So we have requested basically a refund or in the form of a change order, which will reduce the overall project cost. And they did not dispute that, and it was accepted. So that'll bring the overall project cost down by a little bit. So, but that's everything I have.
Thank you. A little bit is better than nothing.
It's almost 10 minutes now.
It's more than good to me. Next would be check register. President, that's you. City manager.
Yeah, that's the last page in your packet. We've tried to describe the vendors and the purpose for those checks for the ones that don't check out at you. But happy to answer the questions about any of those. Mike?
I noticed the Baker and Baker towing for $2,000. What got towed?
That was the motorhome over on Fifth Street.
Gotcha.
Are you gonna bill the owner of the mobile for that, or are we just?
We're not billing anyone. We're taking care of the city's right away, and unfortunately, these kind of things, the taxpayers get left holding back. Yeah, I guess I could add a little bit onto that. Is that if it was on private property, then there's a long process of abatement that you have to go through. It's a lot more costly than $2,000. So fortunately, this impacted right away, and we're going to look at that.
I was just asking since, like, I see who the owner was. That was why I thought maybe.
So part of the issue we ran into is that the RV wasn't registered to the owner. So yeah, we weren't really able to go any further. And the owner, the actual owner was deceased, who it was registered to. So we didn't really have anywhere else to go.
Other questions? President, continue with the city manager report.
Okay, thanks, Your Honor. Just real brief on the planning aspects. Do realize you got a lot of resources available, staff, COG. Jim mentioned the Oregon Government Ethics Commission. If you're thinking that you have an ex parte or conflict, we're here to help with that. The declaration is individual. You're the one that has to make the decision to make those declarations. But certainly we're here to help you make those decisions. One thing that's typical, people get tripped up on ex parte or ex newspapers. As a judge, sitting on the planning commission, you don't read newspapers. If you do, that's an ex parte contact. You're supposed to come to the meetings objective and deal with the evidence that's provided. But one other thing I wanted to mention, because planning is so unique in Oregon, and you won't get this on any history of planning classes that you take. But since the Senate Bill 100 was passed in 1973, setting forth the land use laws, there's one big change that's never discussed in this planning history, but it's Measure 5 and Measure 50 changed everything. You go from a levy-based system of public finance, where there is no incentive for NIMBYs or pig farms or whatever, to Measure 50, where all of that development now goes on your tax. So the incentives to develop were, skyrocketed. And all of a sudden, the planning rules don't work and this and that. Well, they worked fine. It's just the incentives changed. Because we went from a levy-based to a rate-based. And that did change everything. Jim's left, but he's kind of a living legend in the planning industry. I've had the good fortune of knowing Jim for a long time, and to have him at the COG is really special. Pauline's a great one too. Those services were here. They're going to continue after I left. They're separate really from the whole interim thing. We've got really a wonderful I just have a few other items, Your Honor. I want to mention that the FEMA grant is now closed out. The city received $225,524 to help replant the poplar farm that we had and other associated damage that we had that was related to the store. And so that's been a few years in coming, and we were able to finish that off with some real good help from FEMA. And again, I have to mention Kyle and Joe Bechtel for being our liaisons to FEMA. A lot of paperwork, meetings, lots of hoops with federal dollars, and you guys did an excellent job. And this is now closed out. It's done. We received all we're going to get, and not too bad of a process, right, Kyle? Not too bad. Okay. Well, it was really worth it, though. This was an important disaster relief grant, and the city was able to secure it and implement those dollars. $225,524. So we're happy about that, and grateful for that, those grants. We do have, our auditors coming in. They're gonna be here, early in first week of May. And, so we're preparing for that and preparing, now, so that we're ready. And, a lot of documents that need to be provided ahead of time. And then there could be, assistants are gonna be involved for our people as they do, sampling and requesting more information. So we are, preparing for that. That's for the, fiscal 2024 audit. Otherwise, as you know, I'll be leaving the city next week. Friday the 11th will be my last day. I just want to tell you that I think I feel good about what we've been able to do. I've been here, 9 weeks, going on 10 weeks, something like that. There's a lot of work in any city. Jervis has been more than expected, but in any organization going through transition, you got the legal, financial, organizational. We haven't talked about all those three a whole lot, but I feel good about what we've been able to accomplish. The finances didn't quite come out timing wise. The city's gonna get there. You're not gonna be driven into the ditch because of the putting together a budget for next fiscal year. That's gonna come together. After I leave, that can come together fairly rapidly. You get those numbers, CPA, that can be an adoptable and presentable format, for your budget committee hearings. So with that, Your Honor, unless there is any questions.
No questions from the council. Thank you, President. And Kyle, good job. Next is on the agenda is a mayor or council reports. I have none. Anything else from the council? All right, we are now going to go into executive session. Yeah.
Good. How you doing? Forgot about those comments.
It should be. Yeah. That's all right.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, everyone's aware, we are now going to go into executive session. Representatives of the news, communication, investment staff, and other persons shall be allowed to attend the executive session.
Oh, that, I got
Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision will be made in the executive session. The City of Jervis City Council will meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192-660, paragraphs 2A, to consider the employment of a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent.
Yeah. Tyler, I'm leaving at your hands.
So,
Everything in here.
that's your choice.
You got the
But,
I'm just gonna stay here. I need to go to the restroom.
yeah, you've got Audra.
Audra, we're going to go ahead and call you. We have speakerphone.